Have you ever wondered why ancient Greek whispers of colossal worms lurking in forgotten rivers echoed across vast empires to birth the crimson terror known as the Mongolian Death Worm? If you dare uncoil these shadowed connections from the depths of myth, subscribe now, because the ancients buried these tales for a reason. They still hunger. But linger a moment longer, for what slithers in Greek scrolls may yet crawl into your dreams tonight. This is not a chronicle of Zeus's thunder or Hercules' labors atop gleaming Olympus. This is the myth they entombed beneath silted rivers, nomadic sands, and the silence of forgotten trade routes. In the shadowed tomes of ancient Greece, where historians like Ctesias peered into the exotic East, emerges the Indus worm, a pale abomination known as the Scolex. Carnivorous and colossal, it dwelled in the murky depths of the Indus River, its body white as death's shroud, stretching over 10 feet, with fangs that pierced like divine judgment. It dragged oxen and camels into watery oblivion, leaving no trace but rippling dread. Yet this Greek horror didn't perish in antiquity. It migrated, twisting through Silk Road whispers, to inspire the Olgoi Korkoi, the Mongolian Death Worm, red as spilled blood, burrowing through the Gobi's endless dunes. It spits corrosive venom and unleashes electric fury, killing from afar. Was it divine caprice that linked these beasts, or human folly carrying seeds of terror across continents? We descend now into this abyss, where myths don't fade, they evolve, coiling eternally. And that's where the story gets dangerous, for the worm's legacy isn't confined to pages, it stirs in the earth even now. Envision the cradle of dread, ancient Greece, where mist-veiled temples to Apollo crumbled under the weight of unspoken fears, and oracles at Delphi murmured of beasts beyond the horizon. Rivers like the Indus, swollen with monsoon secrets, hid horrors in their silted embrace, while trade caravans snaked eastward, laden with spices, silks, and tales that curdled the blood. Across the vast Asian expanse, the Gobi Desert stretched like an infinite shroud, its dunes whispering warnings to Mongolian nomads huddled around flickering fires. Here, in this liminal space between empires, myths intertwined. Greek explorers, following Alexander's faded footprints, chronicled worms that devoured the unwary. Their words carried on winds to the steppes where they took root in barren soil. Fog curls through cursed groves of laurel, shadows lengthen over broken altars, and the air hums with ancient echoes, as if the earth itself remembers the slithering forms that bridged worlds. But the high priest of forgotten lore was not the only one watching. Nomads in distant sands felt the ground tremble too. They whispered of the Scolex with bated breath, for invoking its name could summon floods or famine, turning fertile lands barren. No one dares utter Olgoi Korkoi lightly in the Gobi, lest the sands part and death rises. Born in Ctesias' Indica, the Indus worm was a reverence-wrapped nightmare, pale, immense, with a maw of obsidian teeth. teeth, lurking in riverbeds to claim beasts twice its size. Greek sailors trembled at tales of its kin, serpents like the amphisbaena, two-headed and venomous, or the earth-shaking python slain by Apollo. Yet the Mongolian air, the death worm, evokes deeper fear. Crimson-scaled, it emerges in summer's heat, electrocuting prey or melting flesh with acid spit. Revered as a guardian spirit or cursed demon, it embodies the forbidden, knowledge of the unknown East, where Greek gods' influence waned and primal terrors reigned supreme. No one tells you what happened to the last Greek explorer who sketched its form. His scrolls vanished, but the worm endured. Behold, Etesius, the Greek physician to Persian kings, sought only to chronicle the wonders of India, his quill dipping into forbidden inks. But curiosity, that serpent coiled in every mortal heart, birthed doom. He described the Indus worm's insatiable hunger, how it ambushed riverside herds, pulling them under with unyielding force. This seed of terror sprouted eastward, carried by merchants' tales, fatal in its allure. In Mongolia, nomads tempted fate by hunting the death worm for its mythical oil, said to cure ailments. But one glimpse, one reckless pursuit, and the curse uncoiled. Victims convulsed in agony, flesh dissolving or hearts bursting from unseen shocks. Desire for hidden knowledge turned fatal, echoing Greek hubris like Icarus flying too near the sun. Seekers of the worm's secrets plummeted into oblivion, their stories silenced by the sands. Yet as the doom takes root, whisper this: the worm doesn't just kill, it transforms those who survive its gaze. Was it Poseidon's wrath, stirring river depths to spawn such horrors? Or Gaia's betrayal, birthing serpents from her womb to punish mankind's encroachment? The Indus worm struck with brutal elegance, silent ambush, no scream escaped as victims vanished beneath waves, only bloodied waters bearing witness. Greek myths wove similar brutality, Ladon, the dragon guarding golden apples, or the hydra's regenerating heads, symbols of unrelenting fury. In the gobi's mirror, the death worm's beauty lies in its crimson sheen, a deceptive allure before it unleashes lightning or venom, scorching earth and flesh alike. No mercy in its strike. Olives in ancient groves might bleed metaphorically, but here the brutality is raw. Nomads found herds reduced to husks, the air thick with ozone and regret. Divine or betrayed, these worms embody nature's savage poetry. And that's where the story gets dangerous. For the gods' betrayal didn't end with Greece. It slithered into Mongolian nights. Exiled from Greek rivers by the gods' decree, perhaps to contain its terror, the worm transformed in exile. No longer pale and aquatic, it adapted to the gobi's arid curse, emerging crimson and burrowed, a fallen entity haunting endless wastes. Legends speak of its fall. Cursed by shamans or divine thunder, it burrows eternally, rising only to exact vengeance. Like Medusa's gaze turning men to stone, the death worm's touch petrifies life, a question echoing across continents. Why does terror migrate, twisting into deadlier forms? In this descent, the Skoleks became Olgoi Khorkoi, exiled yet empowered, walking the sands like an unanswered riddle from the oracles. But the high priest was not the only one watching its transformation. Ancient scribes etched warnings that still bind us.
Where the Indus worm dragged its prey, rivers run eternally tainted, springs bubbling with phantom blood. In Mongolia, dunes shift uneasily. Nothing grows where the death worm slungers, barren scars etched into the earth. Greek lands remember through hushed tales, olives wilting in groves near forgotten temples, as if the worm's essence lingers. Nomads avoid cursed sites where echoes of electric crackles haunt the wind, a world forever marked by these beasts' passage. The aftermath endures, myths carried on trade winds, inspiring fear in distant hearts, reminding us that horrors don't vanish, they imprint shadows on the soul. No one tells you what happened to the last nomad who camped there. His tent swallowed, but his whispers remain.
No epic hymn extols the Indus worm. No marble statue captures its writhing form. Erased by Olympian decree, lest it undermine the god's dominion, its tales survived only in fragments. Creticis's words, dismissed as fantasy, veiled the truth. In Mongolia, shamans suppress full lore, covering up sightings to prevent panic. Divine cover-up spans empires. Greek priests burned scrolls. Mongolian elders silenced songs, burying the connection beneath layers of denial. Yet erasure breeds resurrection. The worms persist in folklore, defying the god's veil. Yet, in the ashes of erasure, a spark ignites. What if the cover-up hides a greater secret, slithering closer? A charred papyrus from Alexandria warns, "Beware the worm of eastern rivers, for its spawn haunts the desert voids." Herodotus glimpsed echoes. Alien expanded on giant Indian serpents, fragments pieced together revealing the link. In Mongolian oral tales, clues emerge, red worms tied to ancient invaders' stories. These ashes hold the puzzle. Greek beasts inspiring Asian cryptids, clues in pottery shards and nomadic chants urging us not to wake what burrows beneath the laurel of forgotten knowledge. And that's where the story gets dangerous, for decoding these clues awakens more than myths. If you've descended this far into the worm's coiled abyss, you tread among the shadowed seekers. Join us. Subscribe before the sands bury these truths eternally. They murmur that dreamers of the Skoleks awaken altered, visions of crimson coils invading their slumber. In Mongolia, the death worm returns each sweltering June, its presence ominous, inspiring modern hunts that end in vanishings. Forgotten, yet returning, these beasts bridge eras, their slither a haunting reminder. Ancient terrors resurface, changing all who encounter them. The high priest was not the only one watching its return. Modern eyes now scan the dunes.
Was the Indus worm cursed for its gluttony, or empowered as a symbol of unchecked nature? Did Greek fear of the East birth the Mongolian phantom, or vice versa? Reflect. Monsters mirror our dreads. Power punished, or power unleashed across cultures?
I writhed in Grecian rivers for eons, pale and ravenous, devouring the bold under moonless tides. Exiled by thunderous gods, my essence slithered east on whispered winds, reborn crimson in desert graves. I spit venom that dissolves empires, unleash lightning that scars the sky. Centuries I burrowed listening to nomads' fears, bleeding through sands no one treads. I am the Skolex and Olgoi Horkoi, not erased, but awake, coiling through your myths, hungry for the light.
Even now, cryptid hunters shun the death worm's name, yet its echo persists in Gobi expeditions, Greek-inspired films, instinctive shudders at wriggling shadows, symbols of buried dread. It bridges antiquity to our dreams, where rivers meet sands in eternal unease. But the echo fades not, it amplifies, drawing you deeper.
You can entomb a worm in legend, but not its writhing, endless shadow.
Next, we unravel the threads of the Minotaur's labyrinth, where forgotten roars devour the unwary.
If the chill of these interconnected horrors coils in your veins even now, subscribe, for what burrows in ancient silence will rise again, ever closer.